Welcome to Sound Values, powered in part by LSA Burger and Classic
Ladies and
Event.
gentlemen, thank you for tuning in live tonight on DentonRadio.com. We are broadcasting out of the beautiful Discover Denton Welcome Center on the ever looking like it could rain, might possibly rain, could hail tomorrow, Denton Square. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest on the show tonight. Now, a lot of people at LSA, I feel like your last name is kind of like the Berenstein Bears of LSAs, where like people think it's said a certain way, but it's not spelled that way whatsoever. Me and Savannah actually had this debate. So I want you to introduce yourself so that I can finally close the gates on this.
My name is Regina Bugarin.
Yes, there we go. Regina Bugarin. See, for so long, people like Bugarin. I was like, is it that? No, Bugarin. And
I just sounded out.
She is a master of the booking arts, folks. You actually took home the DAM Award for Best Booking
Talent Buyer.
Okay, is it Booking Agent Talent Buyer? I never know these days the correct title. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That was awesome and very well deserved. I see, you've been hard at work. But
yeah.
Let's go back to when you decided you wanted to kind of start doing all of that hard work that it took. What got you interested in the idea of starting to book bands and get shows put together?
Well, I started booking for 1919 Hemp Hill in Fort Worth, the DIY venue down there.
Okay.
Mostly just to help out because they were not a lot of people booking at the time. But yeah, I started that way, and then it shut down. And I also live in Denton, so it was annoying going all the way to Fort Worth for all my shows. So I just started booking the same touring acts, but in Denton instead, and just kind of took off.
Just worked out from there.
Yeah.
So how do you start to reach? I mean, how do you kind of reach the point where you have the kind of that confidence, or that you go, yes, I can do this. Where was that turning point for you? Where you're like, I can do this. This does work.
I don't know. I just started doing it, and I was like, oh, well, I guess this is my responsibility. I don't know. It's like, okay.
So it was kind of like nobody else is going to do it, and so here I am.
Kind of. There's plenty of other people doing it. I think, first of all, there needs to be more non-men doing it in the first place. But, I don't know.
Music in general is that pretty dominated field, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
to have, especially somebody like yourself who's a very strong female representing that, that side of the culture, then, that's I would say that's pretty important to have that.
Totally. Yeah, I wanted to show other women and non-men that they could also do it. It's frustrating having to deal with almost entirely cis men all the time being in the music industry, but it's definitely changing all the time. So
definitely. It's an ever-changing scene, in the first place. That was one thing I was asking too, is the house scene. It seems like putting music in someone's area that they turn into a space to play music is a quintessential part of Denton.
Yeah.
It has been for as far as I can go back. When I talk to people, it's where I started playing. How has the house scene helped you to kind of mold your ability and get to the point where you're winning the, best talent buyer?
Mostly just being able to book a show at either my own house or a friend's house, knowing that who lives there, knowing them personally, they're a good person, so everyone around is going to be really safe. And it is kind of dangerous when it comes to underage drinking and stuff like that. But as long as there's enough people with eyes, keeping out for everyone. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just a really important thing, and it helped me a lot. Bands always want to play house shows. Touring bands, they always want to play house shows, especially in Denton. They hear the house scene here is really good, so they're always wanting to play house shows. And it's a lot easier to get more people out for that because it's always all ages, and you don't have to enforce money. You don't have to pay the cover. Of course, always donate to the touring bands.
Yeah.
I will make you feel bad if you don't, if you have a beer in your hand. But still, there's people who can't afford to do that, and there are times when I can't afford to do that. And so I think they should still have an opportunity to go to a show, and house shows provide that opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. like I said, some of the first stuff that I was doing when I lived up here was playing house shows, and going to those was where I met people and really started to develop those connections. So that's one thing that I've always had like respect for it, like in Denton, is that a lot of the time you'll go see a band playing a couple house shows, and then the word spreads, and then all of a sudden they're playing it somewhere like Backyard on Bell, who really opens himself up to all different types of music, you know, that allows those kids to go from playing a house show to playing a venue. And I've noticed that those shows I ran a lot of sound for those different noise rock and math rock and all those shows. And those shows do really well with bringing people out.
Yeah.
And I think it has to do with the fact that these fans of these bands are excited to see them going from, you know, a house show, which they love, but going to a venue now, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. So how do you go about reaching out to the bands or the talent? How do you find them? What do you do?
Well, there's definitely different stages that I've like been going through over the last few years, like getting bigger and bigger, like acts and stuff like that. So it's a different process depending on the act. But typically, like with my DIY shows, the touring band will hit me up. They'll like message me on Facebook or email me. Definitely prefer emails. But usually it's a friend of a friend, or like I've listened to the band on Spotify or something, or sometimes it's a random band I've never even heard before, and I'll listen to their music on the link that they send me, and if it's really good, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll totally book this. If I'm like too busy, I'll send them to someone else, but that's usually how it works. Like they'll come to me and I'll like get the locals together in the venue and all that stuff.
Very cool. So how did you know, it's for them to just reach out to you, you know, where you're receiving these emails, you know, when about did that kind of start to happen when you first started booking bands? You know, when all of a sudden were there people going, hey, Regina's
honestly super quickly.
Okay.
And I think it's just because like Facebook, once you meet a few touring bands, the word gets out like, oh, here's a contact in a new city that can help me out. And there's always touring bands looking for new places to play and like stops on their way to Austin specifically, stuff like that. So it happened pretty quickly. As soon as like people were like, oh, Regina books shows, like whoever this is, I'm gonna hit him up. Like I don't even know who it is, but I'm gonna hit him up.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. So when it comes to like your own personal music taste, you know, what kind of music do you like? What do you listen to? Enlighten me here. So I always like to have a few new bands that I can go back and listen to and get myself a new taste.
Oh boy,
you know?
I listen to a lot of music. I really like pop music, like of all genres. Like pop music, can't go wrong. Power pop, I guess, would be like the genre that I like a lot.
Okay.
So like fast guitar, like electric guitar, like usually 2 guitars, and then like some like really like pounding bass lines and fast drums. That's like
nice.
Like with like usually like a higher pitch voice kind of thing, like poppy voice. That's like, for instance, Charlie Bliss.
Okay.
They're
Charlie Bliss. I gotta
like
write
my
them
favorite
down.
band.
Charlie Bliss.
Yeah.
I'll have to listen.
They're going on
to
tour
it.
this summer.
All right. Well, are you going to book them this summer then?
No, they're way beyond me. They toured with Death Cab for Cutie last year, or earlier this year.
No, listen here, Charlie Bliss. You are not too big. Regina wants to book
Unless someone's going to donate the money to me to pay for them.
All right.
But yeah, that
Charlie
kind of music.
Bliss. Okay.
I also like a lot of like bedroom pop kind of music, like chiller stuff too.
What is like? What can I get I'm gonna bedroom pop.
One of my favorite local bands of all time is Chrisman.
Okay, how is that spelled?
Chrisman.
Okay, cool.
They're really, really good. They live in Denton.
Very cool. And so when having certain I guess musical tastes or preferences yourself, you listen to all different kinds of stuff. Does that kind of show with the bands that you book, or is it all different types of music?
For when I first started, I think I booked a bigger variety of genres. I booked a lot more punk when I first started too. I think that had a lot to do with like 1919 and those bands that I was getting. But I definitely book more in like the indie emo like realm of things, mostly because that's like what's popular right now. That's what a lot of bands are doing right now. Not that there's anything wrong with it, because I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like pop punk, indie emo is kind of the main thing I stick to.
It's very cool. I mean, growing up, let's see, it was when I was in high school, 2004 to 2000 or 2000, 2004, 2005, and 2006. Like, pop punk was very prevalent at those times.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like a lot of different bands. Having like Pure Volume was like the website to like have your music on, and the MySpace and all that.
Yeah.
And so like there's still a few bands. There was one band in town that was called Future Self that wasn't exactly emo, but they had that, what you're talking about, kind of faster guitar with that higher pitched voice over it that I really liked. And then so I will always have a soft spot for that stuff.
Yeah.
Even when I go to those house shows and I see it, I'm front row. I'm going to learn that chorus the first time, and I'm screaming it with everybody else because it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's really fun. I wish I had more like experience booking other genres, for instance, like rap and hip hop. Like I haven't done a lot of shows like that. I've done a few, but I don't ever know how to promote them very well because it's like a totally different scene. I was actually having this discussion with someone the other day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's a pretty underrepresented scene. But there's still definitely a huge scene of it in here in Denton. But I'm just like super out of the loop.
Yeah, the hip hop scene's an interesting one in itself, like because you have a lot of different styles of that too. As where people who are a little bit older, my age, where I prefer kind of more of an early 90s style when it comes to my hip hop, and then kids who are younger than me, they're gonna like stuff that's a little bit more trap and maybe combinations,
mumble rap or
whatever. A
whatever.
little bit of mumble here and there, and maybe this different style of hip hop. So it's kind of like it's kind of like, okay, so how do you bring those different styles together? Because people in hip hop can be very egotistical compared to the emo scene and all that,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm super separated from it.
Yeah, but I've also been to some very fun house shows. Like when Elijah Heaps was playing a lot of house shows in the area, I remember I was just in a kitchen one time and he was playing a show, and it was everybody piled into this kitchen at this house.
Nice.
And yeah, it was an absolute blast, so
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go to to some of those, that the Tron Collective, when that was
Oh,
in
yeah.
existence.
I knew the Tron Collective.
Yeah, those guys were a lot of fun. So beyond house shows, have you started booking for venues, things of that nature? Or, we're also going to talk about tour life as well. I don't want to forget about that. But let's talk about reaching out beyond the house scene, which is a wonderful scene, but then getting to reach out and put bands in venues.
Yeah, I definitely book at venues pretty often. I try to do venues more often now, mostly because I want to be able to pay the bands.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is by, first, Backyard and Bell. They're like one of the easiest, best venues to work with in town. So since they opened, I've been booking a lot more venue shows. Andy's is also a really good place to book. Denton's really affordable for venues, which is like the only reason why I'm able to do it at all, because it doesn't really take much of a cut like to book it at a venue in Denton versus Dallas. Like I've tried to book Dallas shows and the venues are so expensive, which I get it. Like the market's much different there. Alcohol is a lot more important there. It's not really as important to a lot of the venues in town in Denton. So that helps a lot. And most of them will let me do all ages, which is really important to me.
That's huge. Yeah, that's big.
And it's cool that they would let that happen because they have like actual, security or like actual employees keeping an eye on
someone
people.
running your sound.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And
checking IDs and stuff.
Yeah, taking care of all those little things that.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that you brought it up because I realized the other day that how spoiled I had been here. Like when somebody came up to me and I was at Backyard and he was asking me some questions. He's like, hey, you kind of seem like you know what you're doing here, and how could I get a show here? And I was like, oh, you could just talk to Zach, man. He's really open to anything you want to do. If you've got a Spotify account, send him your music, show him your Facebook. If you do a good, all the ins and outs of how to get a show and how to do it and then get another one.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, how much does it cost to rent the venue? And I was like, huh? And that's when he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And that's when I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been so spoiled that
they don't
very
charge.
few times have I had to, even if I did, it's such a minimal amount for a sound guy at a venue.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah. Exactly. The places in Denton, they only ever charge like exactly what it would cost to pay the sound person and the door person. That's usually like the base fee, which is like incredible.
So do you have like a specific? I'm always interested in people's email format. Do you have a specific email or formatting in the way that you email venues and how it's shaped and structured and worded?
It's definitely changed a lot over time. I have learned that the best way to send emails to pretty much anyone in the music industry is like as short as possible because like they don't want to read anything more than what like you're asking. So like date, band links, like if you can get as much information in one small email as possible, like that's key.
Yeah.
For like really any part of the music industry, I feel like.
That's
But I definitely learned that the hard way. I've sent some long emails and like didn't get responses, or like I had a very good friend of mine tell me very nicely like, "Hey, I know what you're trying to do here, but also like this email's too long. Just for future reference, like this is all I need to know." And I'm just like, "Thank you. Got it." And from then on out, I just fixed it.
yeah.
So yeah, short and sweet.
I think that we're all guilty of that at first. You know, we're like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
I need to write this person a persuasive essay on
Exactly.
why they should book my band.
I blame school.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks.
No essays.
Miss Porto in the 4th
Yeah.
grade. That's, you
Yeah.
know, had to convince me to write that persuasive essay for the
Yeah.
tax test. And so you also, you know, this has been a cool journey, you know, from booking down in Fort Worth, working your way up. Now you've actually gone on tour, you know.
I've booked tours.
Or you
The
booked
first few tours I went on were before I booked
Okay.
shows. So I have been on a few tours, but it was like before I booked shows, and it was with my friends' bands, and it was just like very DIY. But I recently started booking tours.
Okay, so how do you book a tour? That's a big endeavor.
Yes, it's a lot of
And
work.
you can tell me first. Let's get your take on the debate. Can you tour? Is it a tour if it's like? God, my girlfriend gets so mad with the way I say it. She's like, "It's tour." No, it's tour. Can you tour in your home state?
Only if you live in Texas or California.
Okay.
Those are the only two states you can call it a tour and it actually be a tour. Because you can play like 6 or 7 shows within either Texas or California.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not any other state you can do that.
Yeah, you can't go to Rhode Island and tour.
But you can definitely do a Texas tour or a Cali tour.
Okay, very
Definitely.
cool. So then, how do you go about finding first off like the right venue for the band you're trying to book, and then getting that band there? What's that process like?
Just a ton of research. Just like hours on your computer, like Facebook or whatever so many different, just being on the internet for hours on end, just like researching people, venues, like bands, other artists in town, that kind of stuff.
So you can kind of like, I don't know, like what is that? What is it? The cross. I don't know, cross-examine or whatever it is, so you basically would be like, okay, this band kind of sounds like this. Where is this band playing in this city?
Yeah,
you know, and
pretty
you kind of get that idea. Do you use like Reddit or any other kind of websites to like, you know, find these places? I'm so curious.
I
I'm
guess
always
I
curious
could.
about this.
I never have. I've always kind of been scared of Reddit and
Okay.
like 4chan, like all that stuff.
Oh
Like,
yeah, 4chan can.
yeah, exactly.
You know.
There was a whole situation with 4chan once, but we don't have to get into that.
It's a weird place.
Yeah, it is a weird place. I mostly just use Facebook, and honestly, I was able to do it, or I'm able to do it because of the bands that I've booked.
Okay.
So like I've mostly reached out to either them or like other bands that I've met through them, like that kind of stuff. Because I've booked bands from, I don't know if every single state, but pretty much every state at this point, like for the most part. So,
Anybody from Alaska yet? Have we hit
oh
Alaska?
yeah, totally. So
That's
this band,
cool.
Yeah, this band Granddad. They live in Minnesota,
Wait,
but
why does that sound familiar? Granddad sounds very familiar. I don't know why.
I've booked them like
But-
3 or 4 times. They're great. I love
Okay.
them. Great people.
Okay.
But they're originally from Alaska. Also,
Okay.
Termination Dust, another band from Alaska.
Very
They share
cool.
members. So yes, I have booked bands from Alaska.
And see, you like every time I see like a band that people are booking, I'm just like, that's another crazy. Okay, I've never heard of this. Never heard of
Yeah.
this. There's so much music out there. How do
much.
you sift through it all? You know, how do you sift through it all?
It's very overwhelming, but as much as I hate to rely on it, Spotify has saved my life, honestly, because it keeps me up to date with a lot of stuff. But yeah, I talk to people about this a lot. There's so much new music all the time, especially in like indie DIY stuff, that I don't ever listen to old music. Like I don't know anything from I don't listen to classics or whatever. I'm just like very out of the loop. Anything that was made before 2005, essentially, I like don't know anything about. I'm just like,
Well, it sounds like you're in the loop, really. Like you're in the loop on new music, so and I feel the same way sometimes, because I'll be listening to beat music so much, looking for this, looking for that, trying to find somebody, like searching, trying to be like, okay, who is somebody in this area who doesn't know this exists and does need to know this exists so they can have a place to come and express themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel that way too, where sometimes I'm just like, okay, I need to, like, that's why I ask people, I'm like, okay, what should I listen to?
What's the new band I should listen to?
Give me new sounds. Because
I'm always looking for new music to listen to as well.
Yeah. Okay, so this band, I'm gonna plug them. They go by Attractive Today. They actually hit me up, and I think you should follow these guys. They sent me an email today to come on the show, and I think you would like it via what you were like, I like this type, and I was like, you should maybe listen to these guys because they're looking to try to promote and play shows and doing all that stuff. So who knows what can happen exactly with right here. See, we're making connections right here on the air, pulling out the Spotify. You never would have known, but Spotify, SoundCloud. I actually found out that Napster is still up and running.
Napster. I never used Napster.
Okay, see? This is an era. Napster was the very first ever like music download service, and it was totally free. And it was as illegal as could be. Like, nobody had any idea what was going on all of a sudden, but everybody was using it.
Nice. I used Pirate Bay a lot. That was very illegal.
Yeah, all of those things. But Napster was huge. Everybody was like, what? How does this work?
I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, and then there was like Kazaa and LimeWire, and then all these other things that were after it. But Napster was the very first one, and I found out that they are still up and running as a music streaming service.
Nice. Congrats,
so,
Napster.
What have you learned throughout this time, the ins and outs? What are some of the absolute do's and don'ts of booking and, tour management? We'll start off with two don'ts.
Two don'ts.
What are two things you shouldn't do? Either as the band on tour or as the, something,
On tour, like specifically on tour?
Not on tour.
Okay.
It can be anywhere.
Ooh, that's a tough choice.
Mm-hmm. Take your time. It's all right.
The don'ts of booking. Oh, there's so many.
Well, okay.
You learn
you
so
can
much.
just go off. Yeah. We can start with the don'ts, and we'll end with the positive do's.
Actually, can we start with the do's?
We'll
Because I can think
do's.
way more do's than don'ts. Communication with everyone involved in the show is number one. Important. Communicate like your wants and needs. When it comes to a tour, as an agent, it's very important for me to communicate to the band what it is I can provide to them. Like, given that I'm pretty new at booking tours, I have, I admit that and, talk about what I have done and what I know I am capable of doing, being realistic with that. And then the band, it's important for them to communicate to their agent what it is they want from the agent, especially if they're getting paid. Like, if the agent's getting paid, you want them to do a good job, and you want them to do what you're paying them to do. But they can't necessarily do that if you're not telling them exactly what it is you're looking for. I think that's a huge problem in the higher up actual big music industry, is that there's not enough communication between artists and their management and agents. But
I've seen a few of that, a couple of those things happen here and there. As I've played, bigger shows where I'm involved with this, every once in a while I'll be like, hey, what time are we supposed to be there?
Yeah.
No one's gotten an email, and you're like, okay, when's the first person? What's the lineup? We know we're all playing this, but nobody knows who's playing what. So that can get kind of lost in translation with those big ones too.
Yeah.
So not only communication, but that honest communication, like you were saying, is letting the band know what you can do.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a big reason why you've been successful at it, is because you're open and honest, and you don't try to be something that you're not. And so people appreciate that genuineness that you show them, and then they're like, well, let's go back to this really nice person who did a great job last time.
Yeah, totally.
So open communication. What else? What else do we say as a do?
A do. I think it's really important to book music that you actually enjoy, because not that there's bad music or bad bands that, or something that I would consider like not good to me doesn't mean it's like not good to someone else.
Definitely.
So like to me it's important for me to only book bands I actually enjoy, because that way I can actually promote it well and I can be confident about it. And I also feel like, you know, to an extent, if there's some random band that no one's ever heard of like coming through town and I'm booking them, like people of Denton that go to my shows are expecting me to provide a good show.
Yeah.
Why would I book a bad band? But
Definitely.
if it's like something that I don't personally enjoy, I could, you know, they still deserve a show, so like maybe I can pass off the show to someone else, be like, this person might do a better job of booking your show.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody came to me at Breakfast and Beats and was in, you know, a pop punk act or a punk act or something, I would be like, well, maybe not here, but Regina can help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Stuff like that. Yeah.
You know, not that it's bad music. It might not just fit this, you know, that scene.
Your personal thing.
Yeah. I've actually had to tell people that before. Like, I do not want to discourage you at all from being a musician and expressing yourself. I'm not saying no because it's not good. I'm saying no because it just doesn't fit this.
Yeah.
You know, but keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know, don't let me telling you no discourage you, because I'm just me.
Yeah.
And I've been told no before as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good advice as well. Now, what would you say, like, you know, when it comes to hearing, a lot of people say that they hear the word no a lot more often in the music business than yes. What is your experience with, you know, venues or certain, maybe getting that, sorry, not this time?
Well, this is why I love Denton so much, but Denton's just super supportive, and in general, I guess because it's smaller, it's really easy to work with all the venues and all the other promoters and bands and stuff. So I feel like I don't experience a lot of that. I don't experience, like, specifically in Denton, I don't experience a lot of, like, sorry, no, or something, or, like, we're not interested. Usually if I can't book at a venue, it's because they're already booked. And that happens pretty often. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of things I've been turned down for.
Well, that's good. I mean,
hard.
once again, kind of like you say, you yourself see that these shows are a representation of you. And so when people come to see your show booked, they're expecting a certain, you know,
level.
a certain level of professionalism, I guess, you know, musicianship, music, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you deliver each time on that, you know, which it sounds to me like, you know, you've done a very good job. Now, I'm not going to say like I was surprised when you won, you know, the damn award. But like, you know, there's a lot of people, you know, who were up there. Where I was like, who's going to win? I don't know, you know?
Oh, it was a very close one this year. I love everyone that was nominated.
Yeah, I was going with you or Zach. You guys, like, I was sitting there with my mouse like, I don't know who to click on. And I'm not going to give it away.
You don't have to. It's fine.
Okay, thank you.
No hard feelings regardless.
No. So,
I already won.
So what was that like for you when you won that award? Like, did you expect it? Like, what was your kind of emotions when you're sitting there?
I don't want to say I expected it, but I don't know. A lot of people were like, I voted for you. And I'm like, that's a lot of people that told me they voted for me. I might have a chance this year. I also wasn't even in town when I won, which I was really sad about. I was in Philly, but...
Were you doing shows?
I was visiting. I was visiting friends and going to a show.
Oh, well, of course. You were working.
Yeah.
You know, that's
fun.
what
I was
good,
networking. No, I wasn't. I was hanging out with friends.
So how did you... So you weren't even there when they announced it?
No, but I had my best friend...
okay.
get it for me, and she like called me. She was like, "You won."
Was she on the stage when she called you? Or?
I don't think so. No, I think she had already like sat down or something.
That's super cool. I wasn't there this year either, and I actually wasn't there when I won mine. I was actually playing a show.
Nice.
When I won, and I had a woman. Literally, I got the message from my buddy. He's like, "Dude, you won Best DJ," and this woman was mad at me, telling me I was a horrible DJ right at that moment because
you were looking at your phone.
Well, I wouldn't play the wobble again. And I had been DJing. It was short story. It was at a hotel. It was a woman's birthday. I'm literally like, you know, all the birthday people are getting ready to leave, you know, and the lady had asked me to play the wobble before everybody was leaving so they could all dance to it. I was like, yeah, sure. This other lady who wasn't even part of the party, she came stumbling out of somewhere. And she wanted the wobble again. I was like, man, I literally have 7 minutes left.
Now.
I'm just slowing things down now. And she was not happy about it. She said, "You're a terrible DJ." And that's when I pulled my phone out to see what time it was. And I was like,
really?
Oh, actually,
I just won this award.
So that's awesome, though. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
Stoked,
Yeah.
because I know you work very hard for it, and I know that you put in a lot of work, and it shows that these bands are coming to you, that there's a good name spreading around there. So,
Hope so.
yeah. So where do you look to take this? Where do you look to keep on going from here?
Honestly, like, I don't fully have like an idea entirely of what I want to do. I did just get an internship with Margin Walker in Dallas.
That's right.
Thank
Thank
you. That was really cool.
I love those people, by the way.
Oh, they're the best. That's
Yeah.
why I was so excited about it. Also, I didn't even apply. They were like, "Can you do this?" And I was like,
That's what I'm
yes!
saying. See, the word is spreading.
Shout
is
out to my friend
fantastic.
Savannah. She works there. She got me the position.
That's very cool.
So yeah, I just started that, and that's been really fun. So I've been doing more Dallas things, more legit stuff.
How does that change? How does that change from kind of doing it all, from, I mean, you're still doing a lot of work from your computer, but now being more of a part of, Margin Walker, a huge booking company?
Well, mostly what I do for them is just like the organizing and like the side work stuff, because I'm like learning how everything works. Do a lot of contract editing, which has helped me a lot in my like personal career, my like own company, learning the language, the proper language and stuff, more professional. Which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do the internship. I don't really know what their plans are with me and everything. I'm just kind of like
you'll benefit
doing
from
it.
it.
Yeah, I'm already benefiting from it. I get into shows for free all the time, and they book all my favorite bands, so it's perfect.
That's what's up.
But I'm
do a great
basically
job.
yeah, they do, and I'm basically just using that knowledge and kind of building my own company. But I mean, where I was last year compared to where I am this year, like I never imagined any of the stuff I did within the year. So I just like, it's hard to say what exactly I'm going for just because it changes all the time. Like there's always new cool opportunities that have been happening. So
Yeah, and I think that
just kind of down for whatever.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it too. Is just each opportunity you get, use that opportunity as the best you can. Because luck is just preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So you can say, "Oh, I got lucky," but no, you prepared yourself. You did the things you have to do. You work hard. Book good bands. Be good to those bands. And then it all comes around. And one of Margin Walker was, I reached out to them, and ever since I reached out to them in August in August, and ever since I did that, things just changed. So that booking company has looked out for me, where they've dropped my name to people who have come to them now and been like, "Hey, we need a local person to book for this show. Who do you recommend?" They're like, "We recommend this guy."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god!" As soon as that, I realized, whoa! And so I mailed email. He goes by the name Gooch.
Yeah, Gooch is great.
Yeah. I haven't
Work
even
with him
met the
every
guy,
Monday
but
and
he's.
Thursday.
Please tell him that Kind Beat says hello and thank you.
I will.
Because if not for that guy, I don't have a spot in Dallas at this time. If not for him, So I send him my gracious emails, but you can tell him personally.
I will.
I'll give him a shout out.
We'll see him on Thursday.
Yes, perfect. This is how networking works. You see, you gotta butter the bread a little bit.
Yeah. I've gotten ever since that internship, I've gotten multiple messages from bands like, "Hey, does this show need a local?" I'm like, don't really have that authority. But there are a few shows that they'll Gooch will ask "Hey, do you have any ideas for locals for this?" But it's usually if it's last minute and they can't find anyone.
Yeah, no, we're gonna jump into a subject that's always hard, but we're gonna talk about some of your favorite local music. It doesn't have to be your favorite or say they're the best or whatever, but what are some of your favorite local acts right now that people should be looking out for in Denton?
Well, I already dropped Crisbin's name earlier.
Okay.
They're up there. They're probably my favorite. I feel really bad for them, honestly. Maddie, the lead person of the band, I message her all the time for shows. I'm always like, "Can you please play the show?" They're very busy. Crisbin's really good. Denton specific or DFW?
No, how about just what you found lately, DFW, anything around the area?
Yeah, Crisbin's really good. I also really like Skirts. They just went on a tour and they just got back from that tour. Genius Christ is a really good band.
Okay.
I'm not a biggest fan of their name, but it's fine. They're great. They're very good friends of mine, but their music is really great. They're kind of mathy, twinkly, kind of emo.
Okay.
Really crazy, I don't know, time signatures, stuff like that. They're really good. Who else is really good? I love Hex Tapes so much.
Okay.
I don't get to book enough rap shows, but she's amazing.
I do know Jabari and Hex Tape quite well. So
Yeah.
I've had I've done a couple of house shows with them throughout the years. I've done a lot with Jabari. Just
there was that Amelia's birthday party that
oh
we did.
yeah,
that was fun.
Oh my gosh, that was fun for us to try to remember that sound equipment.
Oh
just
yeah,
like, how does this work?
I was like, I've never got paid to run sound. What am I doing?
I was like,
Michael Briggs to the rescue.
Yeah, so he figured out. But yeah, Jabari was one of the first people that I was playing shows with that Tron Collective and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When Steven and those guys were booking stuff like that. So I've known Jabari for a while, and he'll come on his Etchy Beats at Breakfast and Beats sometimes and just play a beat set. So
yeah,
it's
he's really good too.
So okay, so yeah, we got Hex Tape, and then we had Skirts. And what was I'm sorry, I totally forgot to ask you, who did you book the tour for? We got to backtrack here.
Oh, Sad Cops.
Sad Cops.
Yeah. I booked the East Coast tour for them.
See, the first time I ever saw those guys, was when they played DCBC. I think it was like a year and a half ago, and I was front row, just having so much fun because I love that music.
Yeah, they're really good.
And because Christian's in that band, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he was, he's an awesome dude, and he was getting sweaty, and we were screaming. Yeah. I remember Savannah was right there with me, and that
awesome.
was a blast. So I love that band. And the other day I was at work, and this guy was flipping his phone, guy who I work with, and he had a Sad Cop sticker right on the back of his phone. I was like, yes.
Sad Cops are great. They're going places. Yeah. I hope at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've wanted to book them just because I like their music for something for a while. Just like, okay, I'll figure out
They're
something.
playing Backyard and Bell May 3rd.
Woo!
Be there.
That'll be cool. I think I'm there at some point again.
Yeah, I have a lot of shows there coming up.
It's a good time. So what kind of stuff do you have booked coming in the future? Let's talk about that. Like, what kind of shows? Let's plug some shows.
Can I plug all of my shows?
Plug all your shows. Plug.
Okay. The 26th of April, I have a show at Andy's. It's going to be kind of a heavier, loud show. I'm excited for that one. April 30th, I have a show at Backyard and Bell.
Okay, 26th, 30th.
Yeah, that's going to have some Dallas acts on it that I've never booked before that I'm really looking forward to seeing.
Nice.
May 3rd is Sad Cops, Astrogal, other bands at Backyard and Bell.
Nice.
There's other ones. May 19th, this band called Nice.
Okay.
With 3 eyes. They're really good. Friends from Minnesota. That is coming up. There's so many other ones. I know I have another one at Backyard and Bell in May 23rd, I think.
How do you keep track? How do you keep track of it all?
Let me show you.
Yeah, is it?
This is how I keep track of it.
Is it pen and paper? Is that what we?
My beautiful.
There we go.
This is the love of my life.
It's delightful.
I love my planner.
These
are all my shows.
It is filled up.
It is very filled up.
That's what's crazy too, is with all the technology we have, you can't go wrong with just a good old-fashioned pen to paper planner.
No.
Too
many things are on my calendar here. I also like Backyard and Bell. This is a great thing about Backyard and Bell. Zach put me on their Google Calendar.
Oh,
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that or not. So I just go in and I'm like, this date's available. Yeah.
When I ran sound, if there were like 2 summers ago, summer and a half ago, I was on that thing, this huge spreadsheet, just like, yeah. When Tiffany was doing the shows there, I was just like, I don't want to look at this. I don't want to look at this. But do you feel like one of my experiences I had with running sound was I encountered so much music that I never really knew that I would like, but I ended up really enjoying it. You having booked, you booking stuff that you say like, you want to book stuff that you like, things of that nature. But have you ever been pleasantly surprised by somebody you've booked?
Oh yeah, definitely. There have been multiple times when that's happened. There's a lot of times where there's like a band that hits me up where I like know one of the members that's like a friend, so I like book them regardless what they sound like. No offense to any of my friends. They're all very talented.
Even if it's terrible, we're friends.
Exactly.
That's so nice.
But yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised by a lot of bands.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Now, we never got to the don'ts. We said the do's, but we do need to hit some don'ts here. So what are some things you should not do when you are booking bands?
Why is that so hard for me to answer? I don't know why it's so hard for me to answer. There's so many things that I avoid doing, but I think like the safety of the attendees of the show and of the other bands is really important. So I guess just like don't do anything that would put them in danger. Like for instance, booking a band with like a known harmful person.
Yeah.
Whatever that may mean.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest don't is like don't book
Yeah.
dangerous people.
Yeah.
Or like don't
book
involve
bands
yourself
aggressive
with
people.
dangerous and aggressive people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the main don't.
Yeah. I think,
Other than that,
so what you're saying is book cool, nice people.
yeah,
That
good,
sounds
genuine.
So right.
Yeah, positive. Like,
You know, I think if we stuck to that a little bit more, you know, we'd be better off.
yeah.
You know, if
totally.
we just made sure we booked nice, kind, genuine, good-hearted folks.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's one thing that I look out for too as well is who are you booking? You know,
Yeah.
beyond the music, but the individual as well. You know,
Yeah.
it's important because, like you said, you want to make sure that people feel safe at that venue. You also want to make sure that you're not booking somebody who's just kind of a jerk. You know,
Yeah.
maybe not like dangerous, but just pompous.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I sing and play
Do you
guitar.
deserve this attention?
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing.
Do you deserve the stage? Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So we've got a little bit of time left here, you know, and I've learned a lot. So I appreciate you coming on the show, talking to me, and just
Time goes by fast.
I know, yeah, it's crazy, and just really kind of opening up and talking about your journey because it's been really cool to just kind of watch it, you know, from not seeing a post to another post,
Yeah.
bam, bam, boom, 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 and then you're now, you know, interning at Margin Walker. I'm stoked to see where you go from here. I
Me
hope
too.
I hope to get an email from you one day. Well, I actually have.
You have, I'm sure,
You
yeah.
technically did represent me for a small amount of time.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
funny.
she got me a show, and I didn't even mean to. So one of these days, I just might reach out for some official representation.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think one thing that's important for people to know is what kind of snacks.
We promised we'd talk about
we got to
snacks.
talk about snacks. So when you're, you know, if you're, you know, you're tired, you know, you're booking, you're doing all this, you're sitting at a computer, you're working. What's the snack of choice?
For like salty stuff,
Oh,
like
we can go anywhere with it.
Cheez-Its.
There you
I was vegan for a while, but I can't because Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its aren't vegan? Oh, they have milk in them and cheese.
They're cheese. It's in the name.
I'm sorry.
They have vegan Cheez-Its.
This
They're
is
just
live. We can't go back and edit that, so I'm just going
a
to
lot more
admit that was
expensive.
really my bad.
It's okay. It happens.
But I can imagine that a vegan cracker that's supposed to be like a Cheez-It is far pricier.
Oh yeah,
Takes
it
a lot
is.
more technology to
Yeah,
create
they're
that
delicious, but they're a lot more expensive. I'm very broke. That's another thing. I don't get paid to do pretty much anything that I do outside of working at LSA.
Yeah.
So
You do it all for the soul, for the heart. Yeah. But one day,
One day.
that
It'll pay
paycheck's
off.
going to come rolling through. It's going to be
Yeah.
awesome.
I just want to pay my bills.
So if you see Regina and she's at a show, bring her a box of Cheez-Its. Okay.
That would be amazing.
That would be very
Or like
friendly
some
of
cold
you.
brew.
Cold brew and a
Love
box of
coffee.
Cheez-Its. So here's the thing, bands, if you want to get her to book you, send her cold brew, box of Cheez-Its, and your EP, LP,
Yes.
or just, you know, like your little streaming link. That would help too. So is
Definitely.
there anything else that you want to like plug or talk about before we go? Any shows we might have forgotten, or anybody you want to give a shout out to? Say hi to?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. Shout out to all of Denton for being super supportive of me and nice and letting me, trusting me, really. Everyone trusts me a lot, and that's really nice.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Now, if people want to find out where to contact you, where can they find your contact information? Website, email, what do we got?
My Facebook page, Regina Bugarin Booking, has all my contact info. I prefer emails when it comes to like booking shows, but if you just like want to be my friend, hit me up. Message me on Facebook, I guess. I don't know.
Very cool. Very cool. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in getting booked, Regina Bugarin can help you out right here. Go to Regina Bugarin Booking on Facebook. Make sure you and we've got shows coming up all month. We've got Backyard on Bell. We've got Andy's.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
I'm booked through like the fall.
It's going to be fantastic. Congratulations. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Folks, I want to thank y'all again for tuning into Sound Values tonight. We've got Ellie Bell in the Denton Vibe, and next week I've got Cameron Trevino coming on the show. It's going to be fun
Nice.
sitting down and talking to that hair god right there. You'll know what I'm talking about. So we will
Okay.
see y'all next week right here on DentonRadio.com.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.